We'll call this meeting to order. Denise, if you can call the roll, please.
Director Amati,
Present.
Director Gaglione,
Here.
Director Leffel,
Here.
and Director Pick.
Here. All right.
I'm sorry, Chair Miller is absent.
And Chair Miller's absent. Mary Ann, will you listen, please?
I would. Please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, communications and announcements. Anything from staff? Good morning. All right, anything from council?
Yes.
Sir.
I wanted to share that I was honored to attend the opening of the new art installation that we have here in the facility that was put on by the Monterey Film Commission. It's incredible. It highlights some of the really cool productions that have happened in the community. And I encourage everyone to get a chance to check it out.
Nice. Thank you. Anyone else?
Along that line, I also attended and it was well attended. And I think they're extremely grateful for the partnership and working with the staff to bring to the whole larger community the opportunities for film that are here in Monterey County. Also, I did attend the groundbreaking for Seaside's new campus town and took the surf bus tour for the new route. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. All right, public comment on any non-agenda items. An opportunity for members of the public to comment on anything not on the agenda. If it is on the agenda, we'll take your public comment at that time. Please come forward, state your name.
I live in Delray Oaks, and I'm requesting again that this meeting not be on a Wednesday at 8 a.m. I tried to get other people to come who tried to flexi time that work, and they couldn't. If you want the participation and the support of the local people, the only way you're going to get it is if you put it at a time when we can come. The last meeting I came to, a lot was explained to me, and I had a lot of misinformation, and the information that was given here made a lot of clarity. And I just think you're doing yourself a major disservice not to put the meeting at a time when people who work and live here can attend, whether it's a weekend or an evening, but 8 a.m. on a Wednesday isn't working. The other statement I want to make is, I heard on the news that you're trying to put a customs facility here for international flights. When I've looked at the length of your runways, the only international flights that can come in will be private jets. Your runways are not long enough for the size of international flight planes in general. So again, are we accommodating the private sector and not the commercial sector? When I asked at the last meeting about private jets, I was told that the Monterey Airport has no control about when they come and when they go, which seemed bizarre to me. And I hear private jets coming in at 2 a.m. in the morning, not every day, but some days. If we're going to put a customs facility to support the wealthy and the private jets, surely we have to have some restrictions, because it's not supporting the local people. Most of us don't own a private jet. I certainly don't anyway. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Any members of the public online? Seeing none online, we'll close public comment. Move to the consent agenda. Public comment on consent agenda, I think, for starters. Any public comment on the consent agenda? Online? Seeing none, we'll close public comment on the consent agenda. Any members of the board wish to pull or comment on an item on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Denise, call the roll.
Director Amati,
Aye.
Director Gaglione,
Aye.
Director Leffel,
Yes.
and Director Pick.
Aye. Thank you. No items on the deferred consent. Moving to regular agenda action items. Item 1. Good morning.
Dave Ritchie from Cole Huber. I'm sitting in for Scott. This agenda item this morning pertains to last month's adoption of a reorganization of the ordinances and municipal of the code. In the staff report, it referenced that certain sections of that would be removed or voided, but it wasn't indicated in the title. So we received some feedback about that and determined that the most prudent approach would be to ensure that there is, full transparency with respect to the fact that some of the sections will be voided by that action. And so this resolution this morning will undo the action to approve the pass to print, and then Scott and the executive director, whoever it is at that moment, will reevaluate that and make determinations about how to move forward. So that's all that this is all.
Very good.
And, also, for the benefit of the public, in the agenda packet, it references a copy of the ordinances attached. Erroneously, it was left out of the packet, so it corrected that and provided a copy to the members of the board, and a copy is available to you as well.
Terrific. Thanks for the presentation, Dave. All right. We'll open the topic to public comment. Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
My name is Joyce Hofferman. Okay, ordinance number 931 is not transparent. This ordinance's purpose is to repeal and rescind hundreds of airport ordinances at once. This is a violation of the Brown Act. What other board or agency has ever repealed hundreds of ordinances without even looking at them? Resolution 1897 is to withdraw ordinance number 931, which is the correct decision. Repealing any ordinance needs a CEQA review. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Online? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Questions or comments from the board? Jonathan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. I am in support of this this resolution to withdraw and void the previous. And I think we should just lay all of our cards out on the table and say why this action is occurring. There are 3 ordinances that members of the community specifically wish to not be repealed: 308, 309, 310. And I think it's really an unfortunate matter of circumstances in which all of this kind of came together. My understanding is that Council Huber has been trying to work with director to have this work done for years now, to get the ordinances published and on the website and to be cleaned up. And it just so happens that we ended up passing this at the same time as the airport received a request to see those ordinances. And so it does have the appearance of impropriety, that, the airport is trying to sneak something under the rug. And I don't believe that to be the intention of any of the board members that I serve with. I happen to believe that it was just a matter of coincidence that those things coincided. And so I am very appreciative of the fact that in our May air service and committee, that there's going to be a discussion of those 3 ordinances, that Scott's going to be presenting reasons why he feels they are not valid, that they're superseded by federal law. And I hope that there's the ability to have a robust conversation in that committee with the members of the public that feel that they should be enforced. And that we're able to move forward after that and possibly even with the next version of this, exclude those 3 ordinances if we haven't yet met the public's interest in having their questions answered. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Marianne?
So, I agree. I believe this has to be done, and I think it's a good move. I'm happy to welcome the conversation and discussion with the community. I think that's important. We've had some. It's maybe this will bring it to a closure where everyone feels comfortable with it. And it is something we've talked about for a long time of trying to get it all put together, get it on the website, get that sort of thing done. Our website changed a lot over the last 2 to 3 years. We hired a new company that has helped us make it so that it was more ADA accessible and that sort of thing. And it's been kind of a slog, I guess, to get it done and to get everything on there that everybody feels would make this more transparent. So this group as a whole has never tried to work under the cloak of secrecy or in the dark. And I think when I look at our agendas compared to many, we have much more on our agendas and out there prior to a meeting than a lot of the other groups and entities around here. So I support this movement in this ordinance.
Thank you.
I echo what my 2 colleagues share. I mean, I share the same sentiment, and I'm looking forward to that discussion at the Air Services Board. I mean, I think that hopefully is going to be enlightening and will put the facts out and dismiss some of the misinformation that seems to permeate itself out on social media. And so it'll be, I think, a good, helpful and healthful conversation. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. All right. Well, let me concur with my colleagues, and I think this is how it's supposed to work, and this is exactly what I would expect from staff and from the board. I look forward to the discussion at that committee meeting, and I hope that the members of the public with concerns about the repeals and the reorganization and posting of the material come, ask your questions, and that we're able to have a good, open conversation about it. Any further follow-up?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second.
Second was.
Jonathan?
Thank
Thank you. Any
Uh,
further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Marty,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Laffel,
Yes.
and Director Pick.
Yes. Thank you. All right. On to item 2, resolution number 1898, authorizing a professional services agreement with Computershare Trust Company. Over to you, Ms. Morella.
I am going to punt it over to Mr. Wilson.
Over to you, Mr. Wilson.
Morning.
Morning.
So to facilitate our discussion, I've provided the overview of the bond structure. Has involved with our work with bond counsel and our investment banker. In this structure, we have the need for both a bond trustee, with the traditional role bond, and also we're going to have a master trust structure where MPAD is going to enter into a master trust, and that basically allows for and interest all the creditors, the intercreditors in the proposed structure, Partners Bank, yeah, and so in support of that effort, we went out for a few qualified parties serve as bond trustee. And master trustee, venture trustee, list is short, and why Computershare, Wilmington, Science Bank, those not in the niche world, Computershare is probably the least intuitive
Yes.
name that you would pick. They're actually one of the largest players in this space. They are certainly in the equity world, the number one company for all of that. I interviewed them, I interviewed their references, and that was done irrespective of their fees. They get to invite other companies, certainly future. So based on their experience, also in our structure, we're going to have CMFA, as we talked about it, it's the traditional issuer of bonds, and you're well versed and trained in this contract work. On that, I recommend board to engage with their structuring and
Great. Thank you, Mark. All right, let's open the topic to public comment, please. Any members of the public? Members of the public online? We have a hand. Mariana Brown, if you could unmute.
It's Marlana.
Marlana, sorry. Marlana, go ahead. Marlana, we can't hear you. Yep.
Marlana, you're on mute.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sorry I can't be there today. Just a friendly reminder to speak into the mic. It's really hard to hear. The closed captions aren't even picking it up.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board for questions. Marianne, we'll start with you.
I just want to say we reviewed this pretty extensively in finance, and finance is recommending, that's Jonathan and myself, we are recommending this to the full board. And I just have to say, as a laugh, when I got home, I opened up a whole bunch of statements, and Computershare now is managing about 3 or 4 of the stocks that I own. I got all those statements because it was the end of the quarter, and I went, oh, there's Computershare all over my desk. So anyway, it was kind of funny after we had had a big discussion about what a big company it is that nobody knows about. So anyway,
there you go.
They infiltrated my house while I was gone. So, but this does make sense. It's something we absolutely have to do in order to fill up this sheet. So we told Mark he can't put anything else on this sheet. We're done. So that's it.
Thank you. John?
I have kind of just a clarifying question. If you could you just describe what the scope of what the bond trustee is going to actually do? Just in, I understand it, but I would just like.
Well, sure. So the trust indentures basically drive the duties of the bond trustee and the master trustee. So the master trust indenture and the bond indenture will drive the duties, which basically they're an independent intermediary that take funds and disperse funds basically to the holders of the debt, either typically the bond holders. And if there are any flow of funds necessitated by the contemplated intercreditor agreements that we'll have between Barclays, TIFIA, and the bondholders, they are the one that will act on the instructions and and basically the structure of the indenture. So basically, they basically take funds and disperse funds. It's really tantamount to an escrow function.
Do we have any oversight or direct? Do we have a direct director or
can we direct them, or do they operate on autopilot? They have some sort of agreement or instructions that they follow that we cannot touch.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
the indentures dictate their role.
Yeah.
And their instructions.
So once we hire them, then it's hands off at that point.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know.
Right, and that's for the, for the benefit of the,
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
the
I'm
holders.
leading you down a garden path. I'm just clarifying that and just
Right.
getting it out there. So I just want that to be known. Also too with computer share, I mean, I just they only deal in paper, and I have a thing with paper. So I actually just transferred everything in Bob from computer share, but yeah. Great.
Just, and as a point of information, ComputerShare did acquire a more well-known trustee function of Wells Fargo about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, not soon enough for me, but yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Okay,
That's all my question.
thank you. Jonathan?
Yeah, I just wanted to say first, thank you to Mark and staff. We did have, as Marianne mentioned, I think a robust discussion, and a lot of the questions that I had just related to items G2 through G5 were addressed in that finance committee to my satisfaction. And one of the things that I did ask Mark and staff for is to kind of put together just a summary of all of the fees that the airport is going to incur as a part of trying to get this bond through versus the cost benefit as to, how much money the airport is saving by utilizing this different structure. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I mean, when you look at the summary of all these items, it's about $400,000. But my understanding is that the cost that we're incurring now will pay significant dividends over the course of this structure. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Good. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks to the finance committee for the diligence on the topic, and Mark for the hard work. I have no further questions.
I would move that we approve resolution number 1898.
And I'll second.
Very good. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote.
Director Motti,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Leffel,
Yes.
and Director Pick.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move to item 3.
4 and 5 over to Mr. Wilson.
3, 4, and 5 to Mr. Wilson.
Happy to take it and run downfield, as far downfield as I can. So item 3 is an amendment to our existing professional services agreement with PFM. For the benefit of the board and those in the public, PFM has been the financial and municipal advisor to the airport for the last 7, 8, or 9 years, and has basically led the airport's early efforts to consider the fundamental viability of doing the replacement terminal project and all the related projects on the safety enhancement program. So PFM has been kind of the guiding independent experts in terms of our path forward. We have made significant progress with PFM to get us where we are today. They operate they're a professional services firm, so they operate basically on billings at professional time. There are instances in which they propose and in bond structures, it's typical that professional services propose fixed fees. So what we have in front of us today is a amendment to the existing professional services agreement with them to support the work that they will need to do to get us through the interim financing with Barclays Bank, as well as to lead us to the successful closing of the proposed borrowing under the TIPIA program. And that is what is in front of us for discussion and approval.
Great, thank you. Just a quick check. Marlana, can you hear everything all right? Or I think you're unmuted now, Marlana. Just want to check. You doing better here?
Loud and clear, everyone. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Mark, thank you. We'll open the topic for public comment. Any members of the public wish to comment on this topic? Seeing none in the room, we'll go online. Seeing no hands online, we'll close public comment, bring it back for the board. John, take us away.
I have no questions on this.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan?
Yeah, Mark, during our discussion and the finance committee, I think you had talked about the relationship that we have with PFM and how that has impacted a lot of the other the structure and the opportunities that we have to engage with this. And I was just hoping that you could further elaborate for the rest of the board on that.
Sure. What we are doing here in terms of the financial structure is very complicated, and frankly, PFM is the outside expert, and this is their niche. This is what they do in terms of both municipal financing and airports in particular. We are very fortunate to have Brian Gallucci, with whom we've had a very long relationship. He is, from everyone that I've dealt with outside of his entity, he is probably the most well-respected and experienced airport finance advisor in the marketplace right now. And specifically, I think we're very fortunate to have him on our team because he led the Sacramento Airport through their successful closing of the TIFIA loan this year. So he is integral to where we are today, and he certainly, and his team is integral to the completion of this financing structure.
And my understanding is that because of the relationships that PFM has, those have opened opportunities for things like us engaging with Barclays.
Correct. So when we built our financing team, PFM and staff basically collaborated on the development of the top service providers in each of the areas that we've gone out to RFP and selected. And so part of that solicitation process acknowledged and that PFM was part of the team. And so that, I think, was integral and key in our being able to attract really top advisors to this transaction. Bellage Spar is our bonded tax counsel, Unison is our airport advisor, and Barclays is our underwriter.
No other questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Marianne.
No, I appreciate that. And I guess I'm the only one here today that started with PFM. So yeah, I think we really appreciate everything they brought to the table, and they've evolved down this path with us, and they've been able to bring on some really good partners. More importantly, even during COVID, when we found ourselves with a little excess cash, they were able to take us through kind of a rocky board position. We were divided on whether or not we were going to pay down some of our unfunded liability, and they did the analysis for us and showed us how much it would benefit the district if we were able to pay down some of our unfunded liability. And it did. It paid off in spades financially. So I just, I don't think they've given us any bad or questionable decisions, and they're very thoughtful. They do a really thorough analysis, which I really appreciate with my background, and I believe they're a really good partner, and I'm happy that we're going to keep them on.
Director Pick, if I can add, because I've been here like Director Leffel since the beginning, and I would say, they were brought on actually by Kimley Horn. So when we were looking for our project management team, as we were embarking on the safety enhancement program and looking at all of the activities that would have to happen, Kimley Horn found PFM for us and brought them to the table. Then it was bifurcated out as their financial advisors, so they have to work directly with us. So that's how we got the contract separated from the project management component. But just thought I would share that with those that haven't been around as well.
Thank you for that, Chris. Marianne, anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Thank you. Well, for my part, I just want to thank Mark and the team that's working with all of the team of finance to compile it, and to the finance committee for doing the due diligence. It's hard work, and I appreciate the expanding questions. It gives me some confidence as one board member that we're moving forward with a pretty complex plan of finance with a really strong team. So thank you. All right. Entertain a motion.
I will move that we approve the amendment to the PFM Financial Advisors LLC services agreement.
Good.
I'll second.
Jonathan seconds. Any additional discussion on the topic? Seeing none, Denise, call the roll.
Director Amati,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Leffel,
Yes.
Director Pick.
And yes, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Item 4, back to Mark.
As me again. So item 4 is a contract amendment with Unison. So in a typical airport bond deal, there is a independent report of the airport consultant, and we have engaged Unison consultant earlier last year to serve as the airport consultant, and typically their report is part of the bond offering. Since the time that we initially engaged them, their scope of work has increased because of the complexity of the structure. And again, to Director Amati's point, the complexity of the structure, we believe will bring us the lowest cost of capital when we ultimately fund this project. Because we anticipate, the cost of capital under the TIFIA loan will be significantly lower than anything else that we could borrow in the marketplace. So Unison is a integral part of our team. In addition to their work on the airport consultants report, they run the financial models for us in conjunction with PFM. They also advise on they advise, and they have their own independent economics team in terms of basically the market, future traffic forecasts, et cetera. So, and then also to the extent that in this process, we need to bring in rating agencies to opine and give us indicative ratings on the proposed structures that we're evaluating. They're part and parcel of those presentations as well. And frankly, the rating agencies appropriately look to them as independent source of information as to the viability of the marketplace, what trends are, what the traffic flows are going to be, et cetera. So again, this request for the amendment is just to acknowledge the additional work that they'll need to do with the 3 milestones that, to complete the 3 milestones that we're all working towards, which would be the interim facility, the TIFIA loan, and then the bond financing next calendar year.
Right. Thank you, Mark. We'll open it for public comment. No public comment in the room, public comment online. Seeing no hands online, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. Jonathan?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say is, a lot of the questions that I had when we started the committee yesterday were, I work as a consultant, and oftentimes when you're a consultant, you're brought on to provide a certain deliverable for a certain price. And I hesitate to ask for amendments in my line of work because it means I maybe haven't done my job. This isn't the case for these agreements. We are asking them to do more work, and therefore, because we are expanding the scope, there is an increased fee associated with that. And yeah, that's Mark also was discussing how valuable it is in having them when they're presenting to S&P Global and to the rating agencies. And so I am 100% in support of this.
Thank you. Marianne?
Again, we had a very big discussion about this. A lot of education coming to us from the staff on how some of this works, and I think we're comfortable. We're recommending it to the full board.
Thank you.
No questions.
No questions. All right. And I have no questions. Thank you very much. We'll entertain a motion.
I would move that we approve the contract amendment with Unison Consulting.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Director Marty,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Laffel,
Yes.
Director Pick.
And yes, thank you. Moving to item 5, Mark.
Item 5, again, we're focusing on another key member of the finance team, which is Ballard Spar, which was initially engaged to basically fulfill 3 roles. One is the dual role of bond and tax counsel. The second is the disclosure counsel, which typically is a post-issuance function. And that was all within the contemplated bond-only structure. Since then, we've introduced the interim facility with Barclays, and also we've been able to make significant inroads with the TIFIA financing. And just for information of the board, the TIFIA financing, we are in creditworthiness. We've proceeded or progressed to creditworthiness within that structure with TIFIA and the Build America Bureau. So that's encouraging. And so to the extent that Ballard will help us facilitate getting that to completion, that's outside of their original scope of work. So they're proposing contract amendment to cover the time that they think they'll need to work with us to completion on that particular financing.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. We'll open the topic for public comment. See no public comment in the room, online. Seeing no hands online, we will close public comment, bring it back to the board. Marianne?
Again, we had a big discussion about this finance, and we are recommending to the full board that it move forward. They're a very reputable firm. They're very, very good at what they do, and their past performance with us has been excellent. So I totally recommend this.
Thank you. John?
What are some of the task items that are going to, I'm guessing we're going to improve our credit worthiness, or what it is it that are they driving to some sort of conclusion?
Well, this amendment is specifically for the TIFIA loan.
Yeah.
So, in terms of basically our legal advice, in terms of, the borrower, they're going to provide a lot of the legal advice on that. They also look at the intercreditor issues between TIFIA, Barclays, and the future bond financing. So they want to make sure that any financing and any provisions in the TIFIA loan that they are properly integrated with what the requirements will be to legally issue bonds in the future.
So it's a bolstering of the credit worthiness as opposed to an increase or a bettering of it, or?
No, I would say that they need to give us, if we're contemplated to be a borrower under TIFIA, we're also going to be a borrower under the bond issuance.
Correct.
Those two obligations and the obligations to the bondholders and also to TIFIA, their interests have to make sure that they're aligned, and each one has they're basically going to be parity instruments. And so we need the legal advice to make sure that the master trust indenture, the bond indenture, everything works in conjunction with each other, so that we don't enter into any sort of terms with, say, TIFIA,
right,
which would then say disadvantage the bondholders. So they know what structure has to be to the bondholders to have a marketable instrument to be issued next summer. So they're protecting our interests and making sure that from a legal standpoint, everything is proper to be issued.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. More. Thanks, John. Jonathan?
And just the only thing I'll add is Mark had shared during our discussion yesterday that they are especially efficient with their hours and billings in terms of the work that they've done for us. previously and has been very appreciative of that.
And I would also add that in the RFQ and RFP process, when we did select bond and tax counsel, they were their fees were very reasonable. And we got an opinion from district council on that as well, that their fees vis-a-vis the other firms that proposed were very reasonable. So I think they were the low cost bid on the, but that was not the only consideration, but it was just kind of an added benefit. So
It's good to know.
No other comment.
Thank you. All right. I have no questions and thank the team again.
I would move approval of the contract amendment with Ballard Spar LLP.
Good.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Director Marty,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Laffel,
Yes.
Director Pick.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6.
I
Ms.
am
Murillo.
going to punt again, but to Ms. Robert this time.
Ms.
All the way
Robert.
down the field.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to brief you on resolution number 1899, resolution authorizing expenditure of funds for an electric scissor lift. So in June of 2024, the board approved the fiscal year 25 capital improvement budget, of which airfield and property maintenance was an approved project. Part of that project, the maintenance team was interested in purchasing an additional lift. We didn't know what type. We assessed the type of work that we do on the field, in the terminal, and even considered our future terminal. And we went out for quotes. We've got 3 quotes from 3 different companies. We settled on an electric scissor lift that will help us to maintain and complete activities above 30 feet in height. And we'd like to move forward with making that purchase, $36,000 purchase from Quinn Company in Salinas. There was 50,000 earmarked for this purchase, so we're coming in well below that. And we're recommending that you adopt resolution 1899 so that we can make this purchase.
Very good. Thank you. Public comment on the topic? Seeing none in the room, public comment online? Seeing no hands, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. Got where we were.
I have no questions.
Good?
This is
Jonathan.
good money well spent.
Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate that we're purchasing from a local company that we have a relationship with and have purchased from in the past, that they're providing training as included with this for staff. And actually, the only question that I had was, you had mentioned in the other committee that this would be used for changing out light bulbs and things like that. And it only occurred to me now, how do we do that today without the scissor lift?
Yeah, we have to either rent or we have extremely tall ladders. So this will give us a little bit more stability and safety using the scissor lift.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, yes, no other questions.
Yeah, no, I totally support this. And I think one of the things that Whitney told us in finance also was that we do use them for repair of equipment right now. So we have a good working relationship with them. And the fact that they're local is a real plus. So
Yeah.
totally support it.
Good. Thank you. I agree on the buying local. That's fantastic. No additional questions. Thank you for the presentation.
I would move approval of resolution number 1899.
I'll second.
All right. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Being none, please call the roll.
Director Marty,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Laffel,
Yes.
Director Pick.
Yes. Thank you, Whitney. Item G7.
Director Pick, they, agreement with Chris Morrell to serve as the joint director. So that we cover the gap period of time between Director Pierce's departure on June 6th through the end of the National Recruitment Program Director. And so the agreement is in the packet. It just allows for the airport to have executive director for the period of time that he is not going to be before you recruit.
Very well. Thank you. Okay. Anything additional from staff? So before we open it for public comment, let me frame this a little bit for the public. Our executive director will depart on June 5th. The district has been in a recruitment process for his replacement for some time. That process had yielded some good candidates that did not work out. And so rather than select a candidate that we didn't want to bring on board, we had a discussion internally with staff, and Ms. Morello will serve as the interim director, beginning upon the departure of the current director, until such time as a subsequent recruitment is complete, and a new director is brought on board. That does several things for the district. It provides us strong continuity at a critical time when the district is going through the terminal build, as it relates to the plan of finance, the construction, and other elements of the project. And it gives us time to do the due diligence necessary to find the appropriate candidate to take the airport forward into the future. So that's a little bit of context for the public as to why we're here today. And I'll open it to public comment. No public comment in the room. Public comment online. Seeing no hands online, we'll close public comment and bring it back to the board. Jonathan.
Great. I have served for the shortest amount of time on the board, but what I would say is that in all of my interactions with you, Chris, you've been professional, very intelligent, well-spoken, and very honest with me. And I really appreciate that. And as you mentioned, my experience is in construction project management, and having that continuity is one of the keys to success in any type of engagement like this. So I'm very thankful that you'll be able to step into these shoes and help to usher in this new terminal. So yeah, that's all I've got.
Thank you. Marianne?
Well, I think Chris and I started about the same time. She was part-time. I think this is the absolute win-win for the whole district, for the staff, for the board, for the community, because we have someone who is knowledgeable, who's able to speak to the community, who is good at presenting to the community the facts, and to put aside some misinformation and be able to get things out. And also, just like PFM with the financing piece, Chris probably knows where all of the parts are that have come together so far on this project. And this project is still a long way from being completed. So it's really important to me that we continue on the path that we're on, with the knowledge that we have in Chris. And I think with some additional staff members that we can give to her department and to Whitney's department, that will be able to take this forward in a measured pace that makes sense for all of us. So I'm fully in support of this.
Thank you.
I second everything that Director Leffel just said. I'm actually really excited. I'm a pretty fateful person, and I almost believe that fate kind of had a hand in this. I mean, I think this is the way we should have, in our executive director search, kind of progressed, meaning that having you here to shepherd us through this major project, while giving the district the ability to make a good search, a great search, and find an executive director that we deserve. I mean, I just think this is the best thing. And I feel very fortunate that you're here and that you also, wanted to do this, because I know that one of the major concerns we had is it's like, you have this huge job here, and so, here's another huge job, And so I want you to know, as from one direction, is that you have my 110% support for anything that you need to help make this transition and to backfill in whatever it is you need. So I'm really excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yeah, let me just add that we're very lucky.
Mhm.
We're very lucky to have you. We're very lucky you want to do it. And having been a chief executive in uniform and in civilian clothes, I'm always concerned when people say, you know, you can do this job too. Um, so my deep concern was that we structure this such that you are able to be successful, and I think we have. What I appreciate in the contract language is that you have the ability to communicate directly with the board through the chair. So that on the one hand, there is no question of who's in charge until June 5th. That's Mike. On the other hand, we have the ability for you to communicate with us and us to communicate with you regarding your longer term post June 5th structure and ability to execute all the duties you'll have starting June 6th. So I'm very pleased with that. And I think I agree with my colleague that there was this seems somehow very appropriate, maybe even preordained. So so good to have the confidence that we have some continuity here going forward. I'm fully supportive and very appreciative.
I would move that we approve the contract with Ms. Murillo
I'll
to
se-
be our interim executive director.
I'll second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second, and I suspect no additional comment. Please call the roll.
Director Amati,
Aye.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Leffel,
Yes.
and Director Pick.
Enthusiastically, yes. Wonderful.
Chair
Motion-
Pick, may I?
Well, of course.
Thank you. So thank you for your confidence and belief in my abilities, and the opportunity to fill the position that Mike will leave, in the temporary over the next few months. I'm honored and I'm really excited to work with the amazing staff that we have here and to continue what Mike has started over the last 10 years, really setting the stage for this transformation, this metamorphosis that we've been embarking on over, again, really the last 8 years since we really started to work on the master plan. So again, thank you. I am excited to move the initiatives forward and appreciate your support.
Thank you. Well said.
Can we take 5?
Sure. All right. So let's take 5 and we'll reconvene shortly. All right, we're back in session at 9 a.m. and we'll move to board reports. We'll start with ad hoc committee reports, personnel committee. That basically was the topic of my talk and presentation and update. So that's where we are with the personnel committee. Local jurisdiction committee.
We have not met.
All right. Liaison representative reports. LAFCO.
LAFCO will meet on the 28th of April. And there's not anything very significant that's coming forward on this particular agenda. The big one, which is the potential annexation of 700 acres at Gonzales, we anticipate will be submitted sometime during either the end of April or first part of May. And then staff will have to do the municipal services review to see how all of the services that are provided by districts and the county and everybody else to that area, how that would be impacted. And so I don't think that will even come before the commission before probably August or September, because the commission does not meet in July. So I assume by the time staff gets through the MSR and gets through all of the due diligence that they have, that we'll not see that before August, potentially even September. So that's actually the big one. And everything else has just been wrapping up municipal services reviews. They are looking at the 40-some districts that are not part of LAFCO. So LAFCO by law has to review all of the districts every 5 years. And so what they're doing now is looking at the smaller districts that are just like a small water district or a small Carmel Valley community has a small district. They're not incorporated. They're not by law. They're appointed by the county and they're managed by the county. So they're looking at those right now. And most of them are pretty unsophisticated, I would say. And they're looking at ways to streamline some of these districts to help take the burden off of the citizens and off of the county, actually, because it's costly. So that's about where we are. But I will not be at the April meeting because I will be in Paris. So I'm I'm not zooming in.
For you. Very nice. Thank you. Regional Tax Authority did not have a meeting. TAMSI. Director Miller is our primary. Did an alternate attend? No.
Nope.
Special Districts Association.
We met last evening and our speaker was Dominic Dursa, who is the regional district manager for Robert Rivas. And he gave a really good update, I think, on how the whole government kind of works together. He was trained to be a teacher, so he did a good job of laying things out and just kind of giving everybody a good overview of districts. We did have a presentation. I did not get the gentleman's name. I know it's Brian, but there is a website that has been put up, and it has a Facebook page, and they're very active. And it's called neveragainmosslanding.org. And he gave a presentation on how they have collected soil samples and explained more the process that it burns so hot at the battery plant that it actually vaporized. And so it went up into the air and then was carried for some period of time. We did have kind of a surprise. The Mosquito Abatement District spoke about in their sampling of water that there is absolutely there are no mosquitoes, there are no dragonflies, there are no larvae. Everything has been killed off. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And that's the first time I think anybody in the room, except maybe if you're at the Mosquito Abatement District, that anyone had heard that. So this is a grassroots effort to try to get to the bottom of what the damage actually is and what can be done. So I think they will become more and more active as more of the reporting gets out. I think he said he collected, do you remember? I think it was 140 samples that he went out and personally collected in a way that is, well, the way they collect samples. He did it professionally, and he was able to take them to a lab in Pacific Grove, which is licensed, and they came up with some numbers. And then San Jose State through not Embari, Moss Landing Marine. It's not John Hopkins. It's it's the San Jose State run Moss Landing Marine Laboratory. And they did their own sampling, and they were within a 1 and 1.5% on their findings with what he found and what they found in separate sampling. So it was kind of an interesting presentation. Moss Landing Harbor District had asked him to come to present to all of us. So it's something that if you want to follow, that's the website. Again, it's neveragainmosslanding.org. And I imagine we'll be hearing a lot about this going forward. So we talked about a couple of bills, but I'm going to talk about, I'm trying to find it. I think it's AB 59. And it came up yesterday on a feed from special districts in Sacramento from Anthony. And this is, I think it pertains to us. I don't, did Mike send it on to you, Chris? Okay, I sent it to him and Scott yesterday, that probably we want to weigh in on it because it has to do with while you're excavating or you're removing dirt or you're doing anything, if you find Native American remains, and it's a change in how it would be handled. And I think it might have some impact on us because we have found some relics and some things before on a part of our property. So you can keep talking and I'll stop talking, but I will tell you what that number is. It might be something that we want to weigh in on. And CS, California Special Districts Association, is asking all districts to, if they have an opinion on it, to send support for it pretty quickly because I think it's already out of the first committee. So
Very
she
good.
didn't talk about it yesterday, which was surprising to me, but anyway, we'll see. And then the other one that I think has big impact for all of us is SB 496, and that's the Zero Emission Standards Bill. And MST was not in the room, but MST has electric buses that are parked because they cannot charge them sufficiently to get from point A to point B and then recharge them to get from point B to point C. So it was a demand by the state that when they replaced all buses, they buy electric buses. But these electric buses are not capable of doing the long runs that MST does from King City up to Salinas, or if you go from like Salinas to Santa Cruz, they cannot do it. And there's not sufficient charging station infrastructure, and there's not sufficient battery capacity to give them anything longer. So I don't know how many electric buses we have parked. They were purchased through state grant money, but it's kind of pathetic. That's how we are. So I think just listening to the Never Again Moss Landing, listening to SB 496, it's probably time to take a step back and just see where we are on zero emissions. And I think there's no one here that is against the environment or that doesn't want to see us move forward. It's just a matter of we've got to do this with common sense and not throw money at something that is kind of half-baked and hasn't been thought completely through. So anyway.
I did have something else that had come out of the discussion. So they were sharing that as members of CSDA, the California Special Districts Association, that we have the ability to apply for an Amazon credit card that then you get 25% off on essential supplies through Amazon. And I wasn't aware if we have that or if we were aware of it. And if not, that we should probably look into it. Save some money.
Thank you. MPAD.
MPAD did not have a quorum. I got a notice about 2:00 on Wednesday afternoon that MPAD was canceled for lack of a quorum of its voting members.
Okay. Board member reports on conferences and events attended by Monterey Peninsula Airport District expense. Anyone? Hearing none. Questions on staff reports?
Perfect. I did have a few. So on the terminal feedback form that we had, there were a couple things that I just wanted to ask about. The first one regarding the wireless repeater. Do we know if we have wireless repeaters planned for the new terminal?
Size of the terminal, they're telling us probably doesn't make sense, but we are in conversation.
Okay. And so at what point obviously we would want to know before the design is complete. So
Not necessarily. I mean, it's just a repeater. So it would be something that the way that typically work in terminal buildings is it's concession. So they pay you a fee to have their repeater there. So similar to what we have right now, we have an AT&T tower right here behind the
Mhm.
building here on our property. It would be something similar that they would pay a lease for it potentially. So it'd be something we'd RFQ, but we are talking with the providers right now, and it doesn't seem, because of the size and where all of the other infrastructure is, to make sense, but we will continue to have that conversation.
Okay. And then the other one, there was a comment about the water filter as well. And I flew out just this past month. I was over in Iowa and I noticed that the light was out on the water filter. Has that been resolved?
Yes, these comments come into our office in real time, so often we're able to remedy them before we meet with you guys on a monthly basis. So yes.
Perfect. There were those items. There was a note about just the flight delays, and I'm trying to pull that one up. Around, it said 26%, I think, of flights were delayed. I wasn't sure if that was flights arriving or flights departing.
It's total.
It's in
looking at
total.
both.
So in terms of flights departing, do we have a breakdown of what that looks like in terms of delays?
Well, again, typically, because they're usually turning, they're coming in and they're going out. So it really doubles the delay numbers, because if they're delayed getting in, they're delayed going out. And that's normally what you'll see. So we've not separated out arriving and departing, because at least at looking at it, it's typically 50-50
Right.
because of the issue.
Okay. So then my only other question was, is this a typical number for an airport of this size?
Yes, I'd say so. So, yeah, I was gonna say, in order to characterize delays, it has to be beyond 15 minutes. So that's, you have up to 15 minutes after the scheduled time before it says this is in fact a delay.
Okay.
But if it's 16 minutes, it's considered a
Still a
delay.
delay.
And the other component of that is oftentimes if it's that short of a delay, they're making up that time going to the location that they're going to.
Mhm.
So,
While they're in the air,
right.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily
impacting
impact. delay.
connections. Yeah. Okay. And then in the police report, there were a couple things. The holes in the fence line that they had reported, have those been resolved?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then there was a gate found open and issues with Pinnacle security alerts. Has that also been addressed?
Yes, it has been remedied.
Fantastic. And then sadly, there was the report about the flight attendant that had a fall and ended up going to CHOMP for a shoulder injury. Do we know how that happened? Were we able to investigate that?
So it happened aboard the aircraft, so we don't have
It was,
a
okay.
ton of detail. But it was,
So it wasn't that transition from the, okay.
No.
Perfect.
yeah, before passengers entered the plane, they were doing their pre-flight checks and she tripped or slipped on something.
Oh. It felt terrible for everybody involved, for both the flight attendant, obviously, that's going to the hospital, but then all those people on the plane that are delayed. Those were my only.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Any requests for future agenda items?
Wait, on the
Yep.
report, I have a.
Oh, go ahead.
So again, on the water, but I know we've talked about this off and on, and this started, I think, during COVID when we had a TSA agent that used to write us a complaint every month on it because the light was on. The California president of CalAm flies in and out of here on a very regular basis. And because their name is on it, because they did donate it to the hospital, we paid for the installation, I believe, but they donated all the equipment. He has asked that we either get it fixed or tell him that it cannot get fixed, and he is anxious to get it fixed because their name is on it. And he does not want that the community thinks that somehow they are providing a bad piece of equipment or bad water. He knows that it's an aged piece of equipment, but I think that they would be willing to pull it out and replace it if we cannot get it fixed. So he's asking for us to give an update, and I sent something to Mike. I haven't heard back. So if I could get an answer for him, that would be great. emailing me through one of his admin people on a pretty regular basis. So it's important to them. And they were a good partner to put it in because we didn't have one. And I think a lot of travelers really rely on it now where they take their own water bottles and trying to be more environmentally sensitive, but they don't feel like ours is safe. So.
Thank you.
And then last night at the special districts, one of the other elected officials came to me, and she flies in and out of here on a regular basis, and she catches the 5 a.m. flight. So she usually parks at about 3:30 in the morning. And she told me she believes that our walking from long-term parking to the terminal is unsafe, that it is not lit properly, it's not marked properly. And then someone else chimed in that they too had parked and they were not sure. Finally, they looked down and saw the little airplanes on the path, but that it was not well lit, that they didn't see them right in the beginning. So I'm just begging us to take a look at that and see if we can get that so that the public feels more comfortable with it. Because we have another 2 years of that while we go through more construction. And it is increasingly what we're hearing out in the public from our neighborhoods and from our travelers. So.
All right. Any requests for future agenda items?
I had a question, and I know this came up with Carl. Did it get resolved that Carl had been voted on to go to the June conference? Had we voted on that?
Just did. It was part of your agenda, your.
It was
It was
consent.
in the consent. Okay. I don't have my package today because I pulled my LAFCO package instead of my board package. So, okay, just
Yep, it was included
wanted
in
to make
consent.
sure. Thank you.
Good. Discussion of future agendas?
I did have one quick thing.
Yes.
We passed the resolution 1897 to withdraw the previous.
Right.
My request is that I know we do want to get the ordinances on the website sooner than later. I would like to see a resolution that excludes 308, 309, and 310, since we're going to have that discussion in May. And then at a later date, we can pass a second resolution to resolve that issue after we're all in agreement that they can be.
Noted. Let's take that for action, coordinate with staff and see what results out of the discussion with staff, air services, and then make a final decision on that rather than making the decision right here today. I think what I hear you asking is.
So we won't see this resolution on the May agenda then?
We may or may not, I don't know, until we talk with staff and. Yeah. Suspect not, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that we came up, when we were having the discussion on what the next step was, we purposely left it to not coming up with what we were going to do, but we did the immediate action, which is to rescind.
Right.
And and then everything else is still left to be worked out.
All right, that sounds good. My only ask then was that if we were going to see this come back in
Right.
May,
Right.
that we do it without those three and then move on with those three later. But if we aren't going to see it in May, then it's not a problem.
Right. What you're describing was one of the options. And I think I know we did. We just said the only action we're going to take is the rescindance. And then we're going to come back with what we're going to do on staff's recommendation.
Right. Okay.
And also each time we do that, we have to print it in the paper. So if we did it in two pieces,
And
it would require that we twice go out and do that. So it would probably make sense if we can get it decided on in our May meeting and then do it at once, in my mind, rather than try to piecemeal it. And I think that would, if I was the public, that'd be more confusing to me, like, now what are they doing? So if we can just get it all together. So
it takes 2 readings.
it's two, yeah.
Right. So got it on that agenda item. That's something we need to continue to work with staff and then make a decision, but input noted. What else?
I just want to say I found it. It was AB 52.
Okay.
And Chris, can I send you the email I got from special districts on it? Okay. Found it. in
Good
my
for you.
Emails.
All right. Any other discussion on future agendas?
Can someone just run down what we've got scheduled? We have a board meeting on the 21st of May and we have a budget workshop on the 15th.
I can look in, 1 second.
I want to make
I
sure.
believe you're right, but let me.
We have finance committee before.
Before the before the workshop, yeah. On the 12th,
When is the budget workshop?
the 15th.
Yeah.
15th.
And I think it was from 8 to 12. I'm just, well, I have it on my calendar for,
The 13th, it's a
Huh?
special, 13th at 3 p.m. is the special budget workshop. May 13th,
That's what I'm tracking. 1500 on the 3 p.m. on the 13th.
that is correct. That's what I have on mine.
Budget workshop.
okay. It went back and forth so many times I lost track of it. Okay, so budget workshop is on the 13th at 3 o'clock.
Yes.
And this is in response to asking for a later meeting. So we hope to see a lot of people here.
All right. Anything else? All right. We're adjourned.
Thank you.